Okay, so a new record of Ragnarok chapter, well, leaks for the new chapter literally just came out. And to be honest, all I'm gonna say is I was pretty accurate in my prediction in my last record of Ragnarok video on chapter 54 and my predictions on round 7 of Ragnarok. But of course, you can check that video out after you've watched this video. But before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel because I post quite a lot of record of Ragnarok content. And if you like that stuff, then this channel, it's definitely for you. But apart from that, let's just get into the damn video. Now, this chapter pretty much, it's kind of the aftermath of Buddha versus Hajun. And we see that, Buddha is kind of, he's in pretty bad condition, to be honest. As I said in my last video, I'm pretty sure that fight should have ended in both of them dying. But to be honest, I don't really care about that anymore. But we see that Buddha is literally being taken out of the ring by a stretcher by the nurses of Ragnarok. And we see that he is in very, very bad condition. And we see that Brunhild is kind of just talking to Hajun. And we see that these guys are, they seem like they're pretty good friends. And, I'm pretty happy that Buddha did fight for humanity. And since, Brunhild didn't really have a candidate for this round, we see that, Buddha did, come in clutch and he even won. So that was even better. But of course, I respect Buddha. He did a pretty good job in round 6 of Ragnarok. He won against Hajun. But moving on, we see that Odin and Beelzebub are actually in the same room. And we see that Odin is looking quite, intensely. He's looking quite intensely at Beelzebub. And we see that, these two sus gods are just kind of talking about something. Of course, these are the leaks, so we're not too sure what this is. But I'm pretty sure Beelzebub and Odin are kind of in cahoots with each other. They're kind of like, I guess, plotting something. But of course, we don't really know what that is currently. Well, maybe once the actual translations come out for the chapter, we will know. But moving on, we see that Zeus is just kind of, I guess, buffing his legs up. I'm not too sure what's going on here. But we see that, I guess, Zeus is getting a little bit angry because, this fight did kind of not go his way. I'm not too sure if he's angry or happy in this scene. But anyway, moving on, we see that Hades is, talking to Hermes and Ares. And we see that Hades says something. And I'm pretty sure Hades is going to fight in the next round. Because there was actually some translations in, I guess, the Reddit of Record of Ragnarok. And we saw that, Hades is actually going to be fighting in the next round. So I was actually correct about Hades fighting in round 7. I predicted this happening. But anyway, moving on, I actually have I guess a summary of the last chapter. Well, not the last chapter, well, chapter 55. This is a summary for chapter 55, I guess. I just want to thank the people that actually translated this because if not for them, I'm not too sure if we would even understand one thing that's going on right now. But moving on, we see that this chapter is basically Brunhild walks with a stern look on her face accompanied by Geir. This gives them 5 minutes as the gods are upset and their eyes get even longer when they think of the possibility of tying with humanity. They return to the room to decide which cards to play, but as they enter they see another Brunhild in the room. Geir is confused because there are 2 Hilda sisters. Brunhild gives him a blow and says Nostradamus or Nostradamus. I'm just gonna, shorten the name Nostradamus to Nostra because I don't know why, but saying that name is kind of tripping me up. But moving on, Nostra, what are you doing with my clothes? Nostra took off his wig and clothes and revealed himself. Michael Nostradamus, in brackets France. Geir looks at Nostradamus and says, so this is the prophet of the century, Nostradamus. This is the prophet of the century. Nostradamus clears his throat and says, I predict this Ragnarok will be won by the gods. Geir is astonished and Brunhild is silent, but after a while Nostra could not contain himself and lets out a laugh. Then he laughs, saying that he believed it and that it was very funny. Now, it's obvious that Nostradamus is kind of a jokester, I guess. He doesn't seem very serious. He seems quite nonchalant and laid back. Kind of similar to Buddha, but in a more childish way. We see that Geir reddens and gets angry and complains to Brunhild that he is annoyed with him. And Brunhild says to him, as you can see, he is the most hateful man in the history of mankind. But also said that, unfortunately, he is incredibly strong. Gear doubts that the pervert who wore Brunhild's clothes were that strong, but she tells him that he is, but if he is too naughty, he will go back to the underworld again. Nostra starts crying and stops his feet, saying that it is a mistake and that he is not someone bad. Brunhild tells him to stop lying and that if he wanted to, he could have been killed by the gatekeeper and gotten in without any trouble. And moving on, we see that Nostradamus stops crying and replies, well, with a happy face, and Geir asks why, and takes her inside to tell why Nostra is in the underworld when he is a human. To which Brunhild begins to tell the story of Nostradamus' descent into the underworld. Brunhild says that Nostradamus was the only human being to be cast into the underworld for breaking the divine prohibition, his crime being the destruction of the gates of the rainbow and darkness. The world is composed of 3 levels: heaven, the underworld, and the earthly realm. But Nostradamus did something atrocious. It is the destruction of nothing more and nothing less than Bifrost. Nostra laughs at the idea of breaking down the door to see what happens. Geir shuddered inside, fearing to die. Brunhild asks Nostradamus again what he wants, and he asks if it's his turn to fight yet. Brunhild then says that he is not ready yet because you are our Joker. At that moment, Brunhild's phone rings with the news that the fighter for the 7th round would be Hades. Brunhild turned pale and twisted her face. Geir freaked out and Nostradamus laughed and asked her to go. But Brunhild excuses herself and defends herself from him, and then says a king for a king, and chooses King Shi Huang, the king who started it all, as the 7th fighter of mankind. And that's kind of the end of the translations, I guess, or the summaries for the leaks. Now, in my last video on chapter 54, I actually said that Hades could possibly fight in this round, and I also mentioned King Shi Huang also fighting, but I'm pretty sure that King Shi Huang might be like a traitor, because I've seen in, some of the translations that King Shi Huang seems quite, he seems quite dodgy. I mean, King Shi Huang doesn't seem very loyal to the humanity side, but I'm pretty sure there could be some twists in round 7 of Ragnarok. We could see Hades, fight for humanity even, but I doubt Hades, the ruler of the underworld, would fight for humanity. But yeah, these leaks were actually pretty interesting, and I'm pretty hyped for this chapter because we are getting these chapters on the 26th and 27th, I'm pretty sure. So I guess I'm gonna be daily uploading for 3 days straight, including this video. But apart from that, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And apart from that, I will see you in my next video.